Welcome to the MineMarket multi-period blending demo, and let me run you through some of the functionality we're presenting in MineMarket in this particular demo session. As already been mentioned, so my name is Simon Williams. I'm the Principal Product Manager for MineMarket and Production Accounting. I've been around, this is now into my 25th year with the mining industry and software. So I've got lots of experience in developing software, implementing, and lots of real-world examples of how we can help solve problems. For those who are unfamiliar with Datamine's application range, we have a number of solutions across the entire mining value chain, all the way from exploration through planning, production, laboratories, and sustainability as well. These are some examples of the applications within exploration, geology, and planning. And on the next slide, this is production, laboratories, and sustainability. For today's session, we're going to focus in the production suite of products and more specifically, MineMarket. What we're going to cover today, multi-period blending, who uses it and why? Why do they use blending and why is it important to have this capability within the application or within your solution? It'll be a demo of the solution, which includes both configuration of blending and then execution of actual blending scenarios. And then I'll run you through what's coming next. So we're not just going to stop with what we've got right now, and we're going to continue to develop multi-period blending. So I'll run you through some of that capability after we've done the demo. And then, of course, onto Q&A. Who uses it and why? Who? So blending is really important for metallurgists, logistic operators, port operators, sales and marketing. But why? Why would a metallurgist care about blending? Metallurgists care about what material is fitting into their plants or making sure they've got the right material fitting into their plants so that they can maintain the most optimal processing within their application plant. If you're getting incorrect material coming in or you're unsure about what's coming in, then you have to adjust your processing plants on the fly without any understanding of what's available on the ground to be fed in. With blending, you can provide optimal blends into the plant to make sure it's running optimally all the time. Why would a port operator care about blending? You might be building stockpiles specifically for delivery for customers, and you've got customer-specific specifications to be met. You may be building a shipment loading plan or a hatch plan and need to know what available material you've got on the ground and what can you provide to that shipment to meet the contractual requirements. So blending allows you to blend specifically for contractual requirements. For cargo assembly stockpiles, for example. Logistics operators will be doing something similar when they're loading trains potentially at the mine site. So they're moving products to the port and they need to make sure that what they're moving on those trains meets the required quality and quantity for any demands. I'm going to run through a demo now. As mentioned, this is a demo showing you how to configure MineMarket for a blending scenario and then an execution. In this part of the session, we'll walk through how to configure a blend template step by step, so you can create your own calculated blends with confidence. Before we begin, you'll need to make sure your user group has the right permissions. Open your domain security settings and check that the option called Allow Blend Template Maintenance is enabled. This permission allows you to create and edit templates. Without it, blending configuration options won't be available. Next, let's create a blend category. This acts as a folder to organize your templates. From the Solution Explorer, go to the Supply Chain tab, find the node called Blend Categories, right-click it, and select New Blend Category. Once created, rename it to something meaningful. For this demonstration, I'll call mine Demo Blending Category. Categories are great for keeping things tidy. For example, you might want to group templates by product type, region, or customer. Let's add a blend template inside the category. Right-click your new category and choose New Blend Template. A new configuration window opens. Let's give the template a name. I'll call this one Demo Blending Template. This window defines how MineMarket will calculate display of your blend results. We'll start by setting some basic parameters. First, set target tons per period to 100,000 tons. That's how much material we want to blend in each period. Next, select the calendar from the list of available MineMarket calendars. Then set the number of periods to 7, meaning our blend will run across 7 time periods. Each of these periods could represent a day, a shift, or any other scheduling unit your site uses. One of the most important options is the stockpile status. This setting allows you to dynamically include or exclude stockpiles based on their operational condition. For example, statuses like active, inactive, or under maintenance can help ensure only usable material is included in the blend. For this demonstration, I'll select active. This means MineMarket will automatically filter the available stockpiles to include only those with their status set to active when the blend runs. It's a powerful way to keep your blending list clean and operationally accurate. Now let's define the shift definition. This determines how the number of periods is interpreted. If your shift definition includes 2 shifts per day, 7 periods would represent 7 shifts. For this example, I'll select a daily shift definition, meaning the blend runs for 7 days. Since we're planning for a future blend, I'll set the date option to start of next shift. Next, we'll configure the analyte display. Select an analyte group to control which analytes appear in the blending screen. You can choose to show only included analytes or all analytes. For this demo, I'll show only included analytes and hide those with no values. This keeps the display clear and focused. Now let's look at the contributor group. This feature lets you track how different material types or source contribute to the blend, such as ore type or material class. It's especially useful when you want to model how certain material types affect processing plant feed. MineMarket's calculating blending also supports custom scripts that use this information to produce tailored blend outputs. You can customize which columns appear in the blending window. For this demonstration, I'll enable include, name, status, production per period, balance, analytes, blend periods, total, blend balance, and of course contributors. Once that's done, close the configuration screen to return to the main blending setup. At the top of the template window, you'll see the source stockpiles grid. This is where we define where our blend material will come from. Right-click inside the grid and select a source location you want to include. Alternatively, you can simply drag locations directly from the Solution Explorer. For this demo, I'll select ROMs and mines as my sources. When the blend executes, MineMarket will automatically show only the active stockpiles from those locations based on the stockpile status we set earlier. Now let's configure the desirability. This helps MineMarket prioritize certain sources during blending. I'll set ROMs to 10 and mine to 1. This means the system will prefer using ROM stockpile over direct mine sources. Depending on your operation, you might reverse this priority depending on your situation to direct mine material and reduce handling costs. For production per period, I'll set ROMs to 15,000 tonnes. This means that at the end of each period, an additional 15,000 tonnes will be available from that location. To avoid unrealistic results, set a minimum reclaim. This ensures that only practical material quantities are included in a blend. For this example, ROMs is going to be 100 tonnes and mine will be 250 tonnes. Those values roughly represent the amount moved from a single truck or small fleet, making the results operationally realistic. Now let's define our target product specifications. At the bottom of the screen, you'll find a specifications grid. Here you can drag and drop a specification template, product or brand, or simply right-click and choose one from the list. For this demo, I'll select the HG specification. Once selected, you'll see the product's analytes targets appear in the grid. If needed, you can adjust any target minimum or maximum values directly within the template. When you're happy with the configuration, click Save. Templates can be duplicated and quickly adjusted to create alternative scenarios, for example, different blend sizes, timeframes, or source combinations. Let's recap what we've done. We've checked our security permissions, created a blend category, set up a blend template, configured blending parameters, and added material sources, and applied a specification. The blend template is now ready to use with calculated blending. Now that we've configured our blend template, let's move on to the next step, executing a calculated blend in MineMarket. From the Solution Explorer, go to Supply Chain tab, locate the node called Blend Categories, expand it, and find the blend template you created earlier. Right-click that template and select Blend. This will open the blending execution screen. On the screen, you'll notice that only active stockpiles are displayed. Those are the ones available for blending based on the status we configured earlier. As a reminder, our selected locations were ROMs and mine. In the production per period column, you can see that non-mine sources, the ROM stockpiles, each have a value of 15,000 tonnes. You can adjust those values at any time if the production rate changes. The balance and analyte columns show the current state of each stockpile, including tonnes and quality information. Like production per period, These two can be edited manually. Across the top of the grid are the blending periods, each one with its target quantity. Here we can see the default 100,000 tonnes per period that we defined in our template. At the bottom of the screen, you'll find the specification grid showing the product targets, minimums and maximums. These also can be adjusted on the fly to test different blending scenarios. Let's start with a simple example using default settings. To execute the blend, click the blend button on the right hand side of the window. MineMarket now calculates the optimal combination of sources for each period, starting from the earliest date and moving forward. The system evaluates your targets, available tonnes, and all configured constraints to produce the best fit results. Once the blend completes, you'll see the results displayed immediately. In the bottom grid, the analyte values appear in green, meaning that they fall within the specified limits. The top grid shows the recommended daily offtake from each stockpile, information you can use for operational scheduling. Now let's look at how to adjust and rerun the blend to explore different scenarios. For example, suppose I don't want to use the full amount of ROM1 on the first day. I'll change the daily quantity to 15,000 tonnes. As soon as you make this change, notice that the cell turns green, indicating it's a manually entered value. All other affected cells in the top and bottom grids change to burnt orange, showing that the calculated values are now out of date. MineMarket also includes fill right and fill down options like Excel, making it easy to apply manual adjustments across multiple periods. Now that we've set ROM to 15,000 tonnes, this will force the blend to use no more than that amount from the source. Let's click blend again and rerun the calculations. The new result shows that additional material is now being sourced from the mine instead of ROM01. The manually entered cells remain highlighted in green to remind you which values are fixed. Let's continue refining. I'll now set ROM2 to also produce 15,000 tonnes per period, forcing the blend to rely even more on the mine sources. After reblending, we can see MineMarket has shifted usage towards the mine stockpiles as expected. Now imagine we know that our mine can only produce 20,000 tonnes per day, perhaps due to loading or haulage limits. We can simply update the daily production limit to 20,000 tonnes for all period and blend again. This constraint causes the blend to pull in additional sources to meet the target, but as we can see, the resulting blend still meets our specification requirements. If you hover over a cell for a ROM stockpile, MineMarket displays helpful tooltips showing available tonnes, opening balance, tonnes extracted, and production per period. Now let's modify the target specification itself. You can exclude analytes that aren't relevant for your scenario. As soon as you exclude an analyte, notice that both the top and bottom grids update the colours, indicating the blend results are no longer valid and need to be re-executed. Because our template was configured to display only included analytes, those were removed are now hidden, keeping the interface uncluttered. When we rerun the blend, the system quickly recalculates, and no surprise, the blend succeeds since we've removed some constraints. If you need to refresh the latest source quantities or grades, just right-click anywhere in the top grid and select Refresh Source, Tonnes and Grade. You can also clear any manually entered values to return the system calculated results. This is useful when testing multiple scenarios and wanting to start fresh. Once you're satisfied with the blend, you can export the results to Excel. The exported file includes all included stockpiles, their quantities and the final blend composition, ready for reporting or scheduling use. And that's how to execute a calculated blend in MineMarket, from running the initial blend through adjusting operational constraints to exporting the results. Hope this demonstration gives you a clear understanding of how calculated blend works and how flexible the configuration is when planning operational scenarios. Okay, right. So like I said before, we're not just going to stop there. We're not just going to stop with what we've got done now. We're going to continue to expand the blending capability and functionality we deliver with each release of the product. Coming up in a future release, it's actually being executed now. The build of this release is happening now. We're going to add the capability to save a blend result. Right now, once you execute a blend, you can't save that result except for exporting it to Excel. So we're now expanding that capability to once you get a blend that you're happy with, you can save those results within MineMarket. And then we've got an Explorer where you can go back and find all of your blend histories and review them over time. We want to put in a maximum reclaim per stockpile. Whilst we have a minimum reclaim already configured, we decided that we want to put in a maximum claim. As I mentioned during the demo video, you can change the amount of material that you extract from each stockpile per period, but we want to be able to specify that in the template so you don't have to adjust it each time you come in and run a blend scenario. It just means that you can more realistically configure the blending templates before execution. In the demo video, you may have noticed that the mine source quantity was blanked out. We don't actually show you the mine source quantity. We just assume a mine source has essentially infinite available material. In reality, that's not quite true. Mine sources have an expected amount of material available, or an expected rate. So we want to be able to change the interface. We're going to change the interface to be able to show you the mine sources quantity. And that's going to come from the expected quantity configured against the mine source. Whilst reviewing the blending capability with a potential customer, we discovered that they would like to see the blend results not as tons, not as required tons, but as a ratio or percentage of material per stockpile. So we are going to add that to the core functionality, so the users can switch between tons, ratio, or percentage when you actually execute a blend, and that will be available within the template. And the users will also be able to switch between those options at execution time. Blend Scenario Explorer. So as mentioned before, with being able to save the results, we're going to be able to have an Explorer as well, which is going to search for those particular results and all those different scenarios. And then as an extension to all of the blending capability, not only across periods, but we also want to be able to link blends across multiple locations. So if you've got multiple blends executing across multiple locations, you want to be able to tie those blends together and be able to affect another blend or affect another blend's available material based on a previously approved blend. So that will allow you to have a more realistic number or realistic view of what is available material rather than just assuming whatever's on that stockpile can be used. We also are going to include a maximum number of stockpiles to include in a blend. At the moment, MineMarket will just go for as many stockpiles as it needs to generate the blend. But what we're going to do is we're going to provide a limiting capability within the blending functionality that allows you to specify how many stockpiles to include in the final blend result. And why that's important is because your operation may only be able to reclaim from, say, 2 or 3 stockpiles. You may not be able to reclaim from 6, 7, 8 stockpiles, which the blending algorithm might tell you require. So by putting in a maximum number of stockpiles, we can limit that to match operational requirements or operational limitations, actually. And then a failure diagnosis. We're going to help you when a blend cannot be met. We're going to help you with information about what's missing, what you need, additional material, additional quality, which parameters blending is failing on, so that can help you plan for having that material available to blend for. Right. Thank you so much for attending today. I really appreciate you joining me on my first ever webinar. Hope you got something of value out of today's session. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to ring out. Always happy to help.